Welcome to the Data Standards Body YouTube channel. This video discusses the candidate issues for Maintenance Iteration 19. The consultation for Maintenance Iteration 19, MI19, is captured in Decision Proposal 347, DP 347. The iteration candidates for the current iteration are displayed on the Data Standards Maintenance Project Board. The standards maintenance process facilitates the proposal of enhancements, corrections or changes to the consumer data standards. This runs throughout the year, adjacent to the decision proposal consultations. To contribute to the maintenance iteration, request an invitation to the maintenance iteration call via contact@consumerdatastandards.gov.au. MI calls are held every 2 weeks on a Wednesday. DP 347 provides the agendas and dates for upcoming maintenance iteration calls and the minutes for past calls. The MI19 consultation opened on 10th of April 2024. The first maintenance iteration call was on 17th of April 2024. MI19 includes a number of candidates for consideration. As well as general holistic feedback, there are issues in the following categories: banking, energy, consumer experience, security, documentation. Holistic feedback, issue 638, maintenance iteration 19, holistic feedback, non-breaking change. Banking, issue 636, remove banking transaction detail and incorporate extended data into banking transaction, breaking change. Energy, issue 640, retirement date for get generic plan detail V2 and get energy account detail V3. Consumer experience, issue 633, collection consents, authorization amendment. Security, issue 628, addition of a DH-side endpoint for querying the status of a consent establishment flow. Issue 573, clarification on handling of standard claims in request object. Issue 362, security profile, request object, inconsistency in example for sharing duration and CDR arrangement ID. Issue 415, disambiguation of the claims for a response from the introspection endpoint. Documentation, issue 615, plan obligation milestones for 2025. Holistic feedback, issue 638, maintenance iteration 19, holistic feedback. Each maintenance iteration has a related holistic feedback issue for raising minor changes such as text corrections or description clarifications. Participants are invited to add suggestions as comments to this issue. Issue 638 captures holistic feedback for MI19. This is a non-breaking change. Banking. Issue 636, remove banking transaction detail and incorporate extended data into banking transaction. The extended data object and attributes are small compared to the banking transaction object and attributes. This change allows the ADR to make a single get transactions for account API call and removes the need for additional get transaction detail API calls. This is a breaking change. Energy, issue 640, retirement date for get generic plan detail V2 and get energy account detail V3. New versions of Get Generic Plan Detail V3 and Get Energy Account Detail V4 APIs were introduced in version 1.30 based on changes that were consulted in MI18. The retirement date for old versions, V2 and V3 respectively, is September 8th, 2025. Consumer experience, issue 633, collection consents, authorization amendment. Clarify that if an ADR invites a consumer to amend a collection consent, then they must provide the relevant CDR arrangement ID to the data holder for the corresponding authorization to be amended as per rules 4.18c, 4.20s, and 4.22a. Security. Issue 628, addition of a DH-side endpoint for querying the status of a consent establishment flow. Provide a data holder side endpoint that allows ADRs to determine the status of a consent establishment flow. This allows ADRs to identify drop-offs after handing off to the data holder. Issue 573, clarification on handling of standard claims in request object. ADRs should identify the claims supported by the data holder before creating a consent request. If the data holder does not support the claims, the ADR should not include the claims in the request to the data holder. Issue 362, Security Profile, Request Object Inconsistency and Example for Sharing Duration and CDR Arrangement ID. Remove any inconsistency between the request object section text and the non-normative example provided. See Consumer Data Standards, Security Profile, Request Object. Issue 415, Disambiguation of the claims for a response from the introspection endpoint. Amend the documentation of the introspection endpoint to remove possible ambiguity related to response fields required for invalid or expired tokens. Documentation. Issue 615, Plan Obligation Milestones for 2025. Add the 2025 plan milestone dates to the obligation dates schedule. That concludes the list of candidate issues for MI19. For more detail, read DP 347 and the issues listed here. To provide feedback, comment on DP 347 or on the individual issue, or join the maintenance iteration call. Thank you for participating in developing the consumer data standards.